Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 26 of What If Naruto was a direct descendant of the sage. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. Yes, guys, I have 3 channels. Links are down in the description for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and join Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. And become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, it has been 3 years, as each of the member of Naruto group has grown, as they were currently at a festival near the border of Nakone, in one of the rather large towns, as Haku was dragged off by Teiwaya. After all, he had the money. As Naruto went off with Fu, she asked him to win her a prize. As the man was shocked how Naruto did everything with precise ease. Fu mimicked what she saw the other girl did. When Naruto won her the prize, she kissed him, making Naruto, step back, as he accidentally bumped over the cups. As someone picked it up and told him to be careful. As Naruto looked at the man, 2 of them were in black cloaks, but the place wasn't that bright, so he couldn't see their face, and to make it worse, they were wearing large hats over their heads. They walked past him. It was none other than Kisame and Itachi, as Naruto made his way off with Fu. As the both of them made their way quickly, as Samihata had picked up on the scent, as she was following the chakra, making their way to find Naruto. When they arrived, Naruto was beyond calm, as the both of them didn't understand how he could be so calm, as Itachi told them that they were here for him, as they simply pour them tea and they sit down. It was then that Itachi noticed something was strangely off when he scanned Naruto's eyes, as Naruto was purposely squinting, but Naruto simply vanished in a poof of smoke. Kisame was surprised as he couldn't understand how Itachi didn't see through that, how he didn't see that it was a clone. Itachi had no idea because he thought it was real. But the eyes. The amount of chakra flew and the way the chakra quantity was bending and twisting going to his eyes. He has only seen that once before, and that was with pain. So with that, Naruto made his way towards Mizu again, as he spoke to Mizukage. They have been looking for Utakata for some while now, as Naruto figured he should inform him about the Akatsuki threat. Utakata was attacked by Deidara, as all of the envoys that went to investigate came back, as Naruto had to block them, as they were puppets, turned into puppets by Sasori, as Naruto figured that taking them out of their misery right now was the best way as he crushed them into nothingness. It was then that Sasori smirked, as he sent the others to go and help Utakata. Naruto was surprised when the man blocked his almighty push by, digging himself deep in the earth, forcing his body to stay still. How did he even know about his technique? He even called it the Rinnegan. As Naruto was surprised, how did he know that? As Naruto ended up crushing the puppet though, as the real Sasori jumped out, ready to begin the real game. Meanwhile, Fu and Haku was attacked as the entire place was destroyed by bombs. She sent Haku to go and find Teiwaya and help the other people, as the place was being blown to pieces. She saw Deidara as he thought he had the advantage of flying. Fu flew towards him as she attacked him, but he ended up using a clay clone. She managed to get Utakata away from him though, as she put him down, as the both of them continued to fight as he kept on throwing bombs at her. But Utakata woke up as the Bijou chakra started to leak from him like a fountain as he was angry. So yeah, guys, it was basically that's what I thought. If you guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this I begin this new episode. Puppeteer and Rinnegan wielder look at each other As Naruto saw no reads the Ida's eyes, seeing that Sasori already knew. So his Rinnegan was on full display. How could you do that to yourself? Sasori's gaze remained impassive as he looked at the blonde, who was glancing over his body with a disbelieved look on his face. So, you see it then, said Sasori. As Naruto could see every finer detail of what Sasori did, the man had turned himself into a living puppet. Isn't it beautiful, an immortal, unaging body that I can modify, improve, to make it perfect to my liege? As he looked down with a smirk on his face. I'm afraid I lied to you, because you will not be my masterpiece. I have already constructed my greatest puppet ever, and it is me. He tore off his Akatsuki clothing, showing his puppet body on full display. He looked to be around 16, although the body itself, well, the aging was impossible to determine. There was some kind of coil in his stomach that looked like a metal rope wrapped around some cheap model of intestines. Worst part should be there was a strange object in his chest, with the kanji for scorpion on it, a cylinder. As Naruto could see it all with his Rinnegan, it was the source of the man's chakra, an entire circular system, compressed into a tiny coil. To use the power of this abomination of a puppet. How many attempts did it take you to successfully compress down your entire chakra system into that cylinder? How many people did you kill on this path to your immortality? Sasori simply shrugged. Unfortunately, progress is paid a lot of sacrifices, but in the end, it was all worth it. It's funny, said Naruto. How many people like you are accepting of sacrifice? So long as they're not the ones that are sacrificing something. What do you call sacrifice? I call it you making someone suffer in your place. That may be, but it's ultimately irrelevant. Now, how about I introduce you to a very special puppet of mine? He will be the one that you replace as a pride of my collection. Sasori pulled a scroll with the kanji for a third on it, as a poof. And the puppet came out. Say hello to the third Kazekage of the Hidden Sand. As Naruto's eyes widened at that, as this man was said to be the Sand's most powerful Kage, his disappearance had started the third regional war, as the Sand had moved into the stone territory, thinking that they had tried to kidnap him. Well, it seems they were right, it just wasn't. The stone that took him. I will show you why he was considered the most powerful Kazekage the Sand has ever seen. As the mouth of the puppet opened up and revealed tiny iron that formed in front of it like a cloud, a compartment in the chest opened up, revealing a pulse of chakra that had the iron sand move into his command. It then formed into a shield like a pure, dense, thick wall of iron sand to protect the caster, before it started to fire off tiny bullets of iron sand. As Naruto was about to raise his hand, but something was holding his hand down as he looked down to see a tiny chakra thread connected to his wrist. His eyes simply pulsed as this iron sand came to a stop in front of him, before it launched in all directions like a bomb had exploded. The puppet quickly came in front of Sasori, blocking the sand from ripping through him. With every technique, with every move, my fascination towards you just grew more and more. Come, show me what those eyes of yours are capable of, said Sasori. As Naruto lifted up his hand, the chakra being absorbed. Universal pull, he said. Sasori frowned as he twitched his fingers as the Kage was being pulled, as he could not hold on to it. But instead of holding on to it, he let it go. As the thing was pulled straight towards Naruto, vicious blades emerged from the thing's arms, ready to impale Naruto. Naruto brought his Shakijo up with his other hand as he twirled it and slammed it into the puppet's chest, caving in the creation. A rod dropped from his sleeve as he caught it and stabbed it through the puppet, disrupting Sasori's connection as the threads simply vanish. As the puppet slumped down. Normally I would be upset that my favorite puppet is damaged, but I believe you will be more than enough compensation for it. As Naruto simply stood back up, the both of them were stopped as they felt the ground shook. A roar then split the air. Both men turned toward the source of the noise as they saw the Rokibai roaring to the sky. Naruto frowned as he was worried about his friends, as he didn't know if that Bijou was still Utakata, or whether he would recognize his friends as non-enemies. Sasori, on the other hand, I feel this is somehow Deidara's fault, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, Teiwaya and Haku had just finished evacuating the villagers when the thing appeared. Damn, that's one big slug, said Teiwaya. Haku nodded as the thing started to move around, destroying everything. Where's Bug Girl? She's a Jinjuki here. Something flashed past them quickly, followed by some white blurs. It seems she is occupied, Haku said. As they saw Fu moving away from the bombs, that Daedra dragon was far enough of her, using his tails to turn into smaller dragons. But they seemed like they were stuck on Fu. No matter how she weave and turn and twist, they just continued to follow her. And her shadow clones could not manage the wings like how she did. They only contain Koumei's chakra, not the will. So they could not fly. Wait, are you saying that we're the one that have to fight that thing? Said Teiwaya. Haku nodded as he looked at the rampaging slug. At least until Fu or Naruto can help us. Teiwaya groaned. Hey, watch out! She was chucked to the side by Haku. As she glared towards him. What's the big deal, She stopped though as she saw the massive crater where she was just standing. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Her cheeks turned a bit red. As the ice user realized the compromising situation they were in. Haku, you... The thing roared once again, snapping them back into reality. Right, the Bijou. Haku nodded as he quickly flashed to his feet. Meanwhile, as Fu was weaving and ducking, as she now had to worry about the slug releasing slimes. But at least, these clay dragons weren't immune to them, as some of them had already been taken out by the slimes, and she had already made a few of them blow up by slamming into walls and exploding. But it seems that Deidara had a never-ending supply. As she flew straight up in the air and turned, as she came down like a bomb, she tucked her wings around her as she flew straight towards the dragon. Deidara grinned as she flew right into it. Boom! They exploded, bathed in the sky in explosion. But Fu burst out of smoke as Deidara frowned in annoyance. Fu frowned as her wings were black and scarred in some places. Her skin even had a few burn marks on it. She didn't come out of that unscathed. At least, the only thing remaining right now was the clay dragon that Deidara was riding on. And she knew how to defeat it. Deidara made this dragon fly forward. He would bathe this girl into his art if it's the last thing that he did. Even Itachi didn't cross his mind at the moment. He wanted nothing more than to see this Jinjuki bathed into flash and smoke. Fu rushed through Hansen as fast as possible as the water in the air condensed and formed into a round, flat mirror. Deidara saw his reflection in the water mirror as Fu then brought it down 90 degrees. An exact copy of the dragon with a duplicate of him right on top of it emerged from the mirror, and they were too close for Deidara to turn. Boom! The explosion matched almost the light of the sun. Even the Rokibai turned to look towards the massive explosion. The resulting shockwaves collapsed nearby buildings and almost blew Haku and Teiwaya off of their feet as they ran. Fu caught her breath as she hovered there, glad now that Naruto had seen it fit that she learned some of the Mizukage jutsus, seeing that she was the strongest water type in their group. Finally, someone fell out of smoke in the air as he slammed into the ground, creating a sizable crater. Fu fly down to where Deidara crashed as she looked at his burned but still alive body in the crater. You're pretty good for a Jinjuki, said Deidara. He tried to stand up but his limbs gave away as he fell back down. Fu was careful of approaching him, as he had already shown her clay clones before when he turned into them. But when he showed no signs of transforming into a white clone, she approached. You know, I can't let you win, not without fully experiencing my art. As he grabbed some clay from his pouch and ate it, his body started to swell. Meanwhile, as Naruto looked up, hundreds of puppets blocking out the sun as they all looked down at him. All of the threats are coming from the compartment in Sasori's chest. But before they could start anything, an explosion went off. For a moment, Naruto thought that Rokibai had fired off a Bijou bomb. But when he looked, it was still flashing around, part of his body freezing up at strange intervals. That must be Deidara finishing up with one of her companions, said Sasori. As Naruto closed his eyes. Don't weep for your friend yet, Kyuubi Jinjuki. Our fight is not over yet. But Naruto did not react to his taunting. Sasori's face twitched as 10 of the puppets in the sky came down towards Naruto. But he did not expect black rods to land in Naruto's palm as he threw them, digging them into each of the puppets. Perfect synchronicity, perfect movement, without even looking. This fight is over. I can't just be stalling anymore. My friends are in danger, said Naruto. As Naruto's eyes open again, but the previously bright, vile color towards his Rinnegan had been replaced. It was now a deep, metallic gold. Sasori realized something must have changed, as Naruto destroyed his puppet so fast, he could barely follow. But he said nothing as all the truckers started to move. The remaining 90 puppets came down, all of them their weapons dripping with poison that would put the Jinchuriki down. As Naruto did not move though, as all of the weapons slammed into him, grinding against his skin. It was like metal was clashing against metal. As Naruto's body, powered to the Azure Path, and enhanced by Senjutsu. As Naruto looked up, his golden eyes set on Sasori, showing him how easy it was to just ignore his attacks. As he closed back his eyes, Sasori's eyes narrowed a bit, as he quickly tried to pull back his puppet, but it was too late. As a force so powerful, you could literally see the air shifting. It shredded all the puppets into nothingness. All of them being broken down, torn, smashed, ripped. As Sasori felt his control over all the puppets cut. As Naruto didn't even call out the name of the technique. I see. So you were holding back that much, Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I feel insulted. Although, you being able to achieve Senjutsu at such a young age is really incredible. Do you think you'll retain that ability as a puppet? I really hope so. As Naruto stood there, his body was being powered by so much power if Sasori ever knew how powerful he was. The man would surely understand that he stood no chance here. He still couldn't get used to the fact how much powerful he got when he entered Siege mode. Mixing with his Rinnegan, he felt unstoppable. Very well, Sasori said. The destruction of a few puppets is acceptable. They can be rebuilt. Do you want to see how much I truly have? Do you want to see how many lives had fallen at my feet for them to be honored by, turned into a perfect immortal, just for my compensation? As Naruto simply walked forward, don't think this battle is over, Kyuubi Jinchuriki. You still have yet to face myself. Sasori brought his hands as large propellers came from his back, carrying him up away from Naruto. Sasori opened his arms as a compartment inside released hot, smoldering fire down towards Naruto. As Naruto created a chakra rod as tall as him as he spun it right in front of him, Sasori could not see Naruto's hand lights up in a purple aura. Benbatsu, Susu, said Naruto. Sasori didn't understand what he was seeing as Naruto simply fly, using his spinning rod as he fly right through the flames. While Sasori could feel no pain, he surely felt the blow of something crashing to his stomach. But it did not stop there, as the flat circular object had saw right through his stomach area. He watched as his lower half fell down to the ground. That was no summoning. You create something out of nothing. As he looked down towards his shining, bronze mirror-like shield that his upper body was laying on, that Naruto used saw him in half. Such power. Seems like you have tapped into the realm of a god. For me to be able to control such a god, you? The both of them paused as they looked up, as a large shadow came on the ground and something loomed over them. Meanwhile, Fu stared up at the sky dazedly. People were moving, maybe people she knew. But she tried to think of their names, but her mind kept on slipping. There was a ringing in her ears so loud, she couldn't focus on anything else. Was she dead? No, that didn't sound right. She still had something to do, didn't she? What was that again? Why couldn't she remember? What was with this annoying ringing that blocked out all other sounds? The buzzing got louder. Fu! As she heard someone call, Fu! That was her name. My name? She thought to herself. Fu! Reality crashed down on her. She sat up immediately. Her eyes scanned around and she noticed Haku next to her, his hands glowing green. She realized why, as her skin was burned badly. Her clothes was in tatters. The only thing protecting her modesty was Haku's kimono top that he placed on her. Fu looked at Haku, as she never knew how toned his body was. Oi, eyes up, Minty. As Fu turned her head towards the voice of Teiwaya, that brought her back to reality. As Teiwaya had a faint blush in her cheek. I apologize. It appears I might have a concussion. Haku just nodded, seeing how Fu had, looked at his bare chest for now. He got enough of that when Teiwaya did it, but she thought he wasn't looking at her. Luckily, that's the worst you've got. The burns are only minor, and should be healed easily, especially if Naruto does it. It seems like your wings to the brunt of the explosion. As she turned her head to see the charred, blackened remains of her wings lying next to her. With the wings, she realized it could have been her. She frowned at that as she nearly died, fighting that bomber. If that wasn't some kind of suicide move, then he would have won, because she wasn't going to be in a condition to face off against him if he had still left standing after that. Are you okay? Haku asks. As she realized she's been, staying quiet for a while. She slowly got to her feet, Haku standing beside her, to catch her if she falls. If you are here, then does that mean the Rokibai is... The group realized Rokibai had been missing. As they followed the trail of destruction, it was heading off the area where Naruto was. Wait, what the hell? It was right there a moment ago, said Tewaya. Well, we saw you get hit by the explosion. Did you too seriously just lose a Bijou? Asked Fu. Meanwhile, Naruto moved as Rokibai's tail smashed down, as it had a acid that burned through trees on the ground. Sasori had shifted his body as he shot his cable straight towards Naruto, as Naruto's eyes were moving rather fast. Using his Azure Path, dully senses because he would have sensed a Bijou approaching on him. Monotabi had told him that Saiken slime could even scar the skin of the other Bijous. Yes, it was that potent and corrosive, but not that Saiken could get that close to the others. After all, some of the bigger heads, like the Tails and Nine Tails, could easily defend against him. As Naruto moved past the cable, leaping away as Rokibai crashed down with another one of its tails. It seems that the overwhelming amount of power he had flowing through his system was calling out to the beast like a beacon. Not only that, but when he looked over, Sasori had gained full use of his body back. As he glanced towards his shield where he had sliced Sasori in half, the bisected body was still there, but the cylinder in his chest was gone. This is useless, Kyuubi Jinchuriki. You cannot possibly believe that you can fight me and the fourth strongest Bijou at the same time. Even with your Sage mode, it is impossible for a mere teen. As Naruto took a breath, as Rokibai raised another one of his tail. Geku, Kizeri, said Naruto. Thick black chains exploded from the earth, vicious spikes on them, as they flew up and wrapped around the Rokibai, trapping it in a cage of chains. Then they came together as they tightened around the Rokibai. If Sasori would have been human, he would have gaped in shock as he watched Naruto suppress the Rokibai like it was some household pet. Impossible. This power is on the scale of Senju Hoshirama. For the first time since becoming a missing and abandoning his home, Sasori took a step back in fear. So engrossed in his thoughts, he never noticed a chain that came from behind him that ripped through his chest, missing his cylinder by inches, as it disrupted the chakra inside the body. The cylinder fell, its threads trying to connect to the system, but it was not working. It's over. As Naruto walked over to Sasori, his eyes still burning with chakra. With his own chakra now in control, he brought Sasori around, as Sasori saw the chain that emerged from his sleeve. As Naruto gave Sasori control over his head. Why? That was the first thing Sasori asked. You could have pierced me directly through my core. You know that would kill me, so why didn't you? His voice seemed genuinely confused. Because I don't have to, said Naruto. Sasori narrowed his eyes, taking that as an insult. As if Naruto could deal with him so easily that he wasn't even, thinking of killing him because he was not a threat in the slightest. You think this ability to leave your hand from bloodshed is noble? It is only foolish to leave your enemies behind, giving them a chance to stab you in the back. Naruto's eyes crinkled in amusement as he made the chains pull Sasori closer to him. It doesn't seem you're in a position to stab anyone right now. Sasori grew amazed it was true. The only thing he could move right now was his head. He couldn't even eject his cylinder from his body for some reason. Then what? You're gonna leave me alive, unable to move anything other than my head, as some pitiful invalid. His eyes narrowed at the thought, as his immortality would be literally a curse if that would happen. I would rather die, he said, as Naruto's eyes lost their humor as they became cold. Don't be so quick to throw away your own life, even as perverse as you have made it. As Naruto sensed his friends, he smiled in relief as he felt their chakra burning strong. He was worried when Rokibai appeared, as he thought his friends might be killed by the rampage and Bijou. Anyway, I still haven't decided what I should do with you. Sasori scowled at that. My life in the hands of a mere boy, no older than 16. How disgraceful. What do you want then? Information, I assume. I was a spy master for the Akatsuki after all. Naruto quirked the eyebrow the chains tightening down on the Rokibai as the beast was trying to escape, as Sasori's eyes had defeated them, as he knew what happened next was all up to the monkey in front of him, because he couldn't escape and he couldn't do literally nothing. A whistling sound could be heard as Naruto turned and caught the kunai, but it was too late as the paper was already burned, an explosive tag. As he threw it, he had to close his eyes as the place was enveloped. He heard another whistling, but not towards him, as he heard a dull thud, as he felt the body in his hand shift a bit. When he opened back his eyes, there was a kunai implanted in Sasori's chest compartment. As Naruto looked down, he had sensed it for just a fraction of a moment, a single presence right at the edge of his sentry mode that had appeared and disappeared so quickly. As the chains dissolved in Sasori, body fell down. As the man was dead, his dreams of becoming immortality gone. As the unknown assailant was also gone as well. Another blonde watched the entire encounter. As his broken arm, he was viewing the monk from the safe distance of the trees. As he had saw everything, as he saw Naruto restrain the Bijou with ease, it was shocking to know that another person had the same power as that man. To know that two of them were walking around. He thought that Itachi was his main rival, but when compared to people like that, Itachi wasn't even in their league. I never thought Sasori Dano would be the one to go. I wonder who threw that kunai, as he wasn't able to sense anyone. When the simple weapon was thrown, it sneaked past the monk, who was in a strange enhanced state, so how did he not sense it quickly enough? That would be me. Deidara spin around as he saw orange, before he was sucked away, his body twisting and twirling into darkness. Meanwhile, Naruto smiled as he saw his friends coming towards him as Fu was in a roughed up state. The three of them were surprised, however, as they saw the Rokibai. The thing was snared by chains. It gargled at them. The thing sounded like its head was underwater for some reason. As Naruto walked and stand in front of the beast, his eyes still burning golden with nature chakra, as he found it that he could maintain stage mode for a very long time. Once he actually made a link with himself, he could just draw in the chakra nature with his Prita path. But after around a 15-minute mark, it started to get exhausted to maintain. He could go longer, but the strain he put on his body wasn't really worth it. Saikon! He called out the rookie by his name, but he saw no reaction. Something was wrong with the Bijous. They all had a mind of their own. They were thinking, living beings. Saikon, he said, as the thing stopped and turned towards him, but not in a good way, as it threw its head up into the air. Get back, said Naruto, as black and white balls started to draw from the ear itself, as they were contorting into a small black ball in front of Saikon. This Saikon couldn't reach up to swallow the Bijou bomb, so it did the next best thing. It just threw it towards the teens. Naruto raised his hand. Almighty push! To his attack though, his almighty push only halted the Bijou bomb. It did not deflect it like he hoped. As Naruto saw the thing was going unstable, if it exploded here, it would level the entire place. Without even thinking, he rushed forward and threw his arms out. Simple. Gihiru, he said, as the thing exploded out, bathed in the air in a bright white light. But it didn't explode, as the light was sucked away. Naruto stood right at the epicenter of that, clenching his teeth as all the power was absorbed into his body. His arms trembled as he had to balance it with the nature engine that was already running through his coils. It finally settled as he fell on his knees as exhaustion caught up to him, sage mode leaving him. Naruto, as he found Fu at his side a moment later. Typical, despite her own injuries, she always made sure that he was okay. He forced himself back to his feet, masking how heavy his body felt at that moment. I'm fine, he said. He took a step forward until he was standing in front of the Rokibai once again. Saikon! As he tightened the chains to make sure it wouldn't form another Bijou bomb this time. Is Utakata okay? Fu said, as she was beside him. Utakata is gone. I can't even feel his chakra anymore. When the Rokibai broke free, it tore apart his body. Fu's eyes widened as she looked down, as she allowed herself to mourn the loss of a Jinchuriki like them. So what you gonna do? Absorb it? Naruto frowned at that. With every encounter, he ended up sealing a Bijou within himself. This is not what he wanted to do. He wanted to free them and help them, not seal them away within him. But he knew at the same time, leaving it now with the Akatsuki roaming about, they would definitely get it, as the thing was not in the right state of mind. And he lacked the ability to seal it within anything else, other than himself. the pot, or Fu. Fu would burn up with two of the chakra creatures instead of her, and the pot was a temporary location none the best. The artifact wouldn't hold chakra of that magnitude for long, as the repeating seal of the Akatsuki had showed. That only left himself as the only option. As he looked up towards Saikon, as his chains started to glow blue. I don't know if you understand me right now, but I'm sorry for this, he said. Time skip. Why won't you tell me anything, said Naruto, as he actually raised his voice, as he had came into the seal right after, sealing Bijou away inside of him, and fixing the Mindscape. It has been 3 years since he sealed the Go base, so his body had gotten enough time to bring the seal back up the strength, and he had went slowly. Secondly, he wanted to know why Saikon was rampaging. The Rokibai was unconscious through all of this. Seemingly pacified by his chains, the thing had melted into a white goo, as it was next to the Kyuubi cell. So instead he was asking the rest of his tenants, but they weren't very forthcoming with the answer that he wanted. It is not quite so simple, human, Isabi said. 3 years has done a lot of bringing her out of her shell. He looked around at her, but she went quiet. I just don't understand. What was wrong with Saikon out there? Why didn't he seem to recognize his own name? Some of the Bijous looked down at that, but the fox simply turned his head, as Naruto already knew that he wouldn't answer him. You demand a lot from us, human. We do not need to explain why we do things. We simply do, said Son Goku. Naruto sighed in frustration as he leaned on his shakijo. Can you at least tell me why you don't want me to know, he asked. But the room was silent. He sighed. He needed to go back and continue to heal Fu. Very well, I'll come back and ask Saiken once he has woken up. I'm sure he will have questions. And with that he faded out of the Mindscape. Time skip. On Nakone, said Naruto. It has been a few days. The group was currently in the forest. They had helped the people from the attack. They had a campfire, as Teiwaya and Haku was sitting across from him, while Fu was sitting up in a tree. Yeah, it's some place across the sea from Miss Nakone, with some other few countries you don't usually hear about. I used to hear Orochimaru saying that he set up bases there, so there has to be something worthwhile there. Naruto glanced up towards Fu. She didn't seem convinced as well. I don't know. It's a lot to go on, just from hearing the name of a country. Teiwaya scowled at that as she looked towards Fu. Oh come on, if you had heard it from her, we would have already been leaving by now, she said. Naruto sighed as he leaned back on the rock in amusement. I don't play favorites like that, Teiwaya. She snorted as she folded her arms under her chest, as she glared at the blonde. Yeah, sure you don't, she said. Naruto glanced towards Haku. He could always be the voice of reason in the group. What do you think? Is it worth a shot? As Haku looked down thoughtfully, before rubbing his chin. I think it couldn't hurt, he said. The worst is that we find nothing. And suppose we find something important, or learn something on the way. Alright then, I suppose if we want to find something about the Bijou, we might as well check it out, said Naruto. Teiwaya grinned as she turned towards Haku and poked him. Good boy, she said. Haku scowled a bit as he turned back towards Naruto with a frown. Is it too late to take back my decision? I'm afraid it is, said Naruto. Haku just sighed as Teiwaya poked her tongue out at him, as the two teens walked off to their sleeping bags, hoping to get some rest after a tired day. Teiwaya might not have been helping with the healing, but she was able to lift objects that the villagers could not, although she constantly complained, as it was the gunk from the Rokibai, as she was cursing the entire time, as she ended up falling right into it, and her clothes didn't survive it. And Haku, well, he had to blush to what he saw. Are you okay? Said Naruto as Fu dropped down next to him. As she looked at him with some concern, he knew why that look was concerned towards him. He just smiled softly as he hugged her and kissed her on the cheek, as she accepted the embrace. I'm fine. You don't have to worry so much, Fu, he said. As she nodded, but she wasn't convinced, as she remembered what happened. Flashback, as Fu dashed through the trees. As she could hear it louder and louder, she made her way as she saw the ground was torn apart. Trenches, trees blasted smithereens. As Naruto was in the center of all this, a massive crater spread out from where he was. Naruto, as he paused. Fu, you know you should be resting, he said. Your injuries hasn't fully healed yet. With a burst of speed, she flashed in front of him. What about you? The last time you absorbed the Bijou, you needed a week to recover, she said. She looked around again at the pure destruction that he caused. And what is this, she said, as he created a massive crater. The entire place was level. He sighed as he chuckled at his surroundings. Would you believe me if I told you I'm making it easier for the villagers to get lumber? She just stared at him. As he sighed, the last time was different. Shikaku caught me by surprise with the gobi, and I wasn't ready for it. This time I took it slow. I was prepared. That isn't what I meant, she said. I wasn't strong enough, he said. She blinked in confusion as she looked at him, as he clarified. Back there with the Rokibai, I couldn't deflect that Bijou bomb. If I hadn't been using Senjutsu, I didn't think I would have been able to absorb the Bijou bomb. And you all would have gotten hurt. Her frown melted into a softer expression as she moved forward and hugged the blonde, as he accepted. Naruto, we don't expect you to be all powerful. We're still just teens. You're only 16. You don't have to be invincible to be strong. Please don't burden yourself with expectations. That's just it, fool. They're the expectation I have to have. If I don't push myself, what if I couldn't deflect it? What if there's a attack that I couldn't deflect that I can't stop? What if there's an enemy I can't overcome? Who will protect you? Teiwaya, Haku. Who will protect you all? The people I care about. She heard the emotion in his voice as she clutched him closer to herself. Holding on to him. You always have us. If that ever happens, you will always have us stand by your side to cover the gap, she said. She looked deeply into his eyes as she moved back a bit. You'll always have me by your side to help you do anything, she said. She saw the tension leak away from him as he backed away and sit by a nearby destroyed log as she sit with him. Thank you, fool. It just gets so heavy sometimes. Then share some of the weight. Naruto's smile widened a bit as he moved to kiss her. She expected it though as she turned, as their lips connected. Ripple eyes widened for a moment in surprise. Before Fu deepened the contact, the both of them shared a long, minute kiss before they broke away, blushing. As Naruto chuckled a bit. Do you know I can't use an almighty push? Consecutively, he said. Fu blinked at the odd question. But she never noticed that before. Well, he never had to use them so fast before. Yeah, me neither. Turns out after using one, it blocked my chakra flow from using that technique for about 3 seconds. I never noticed that before. Is that what you were doing? She said, looking around. Testing your limits. As Naruto simply shrugged, as Fu understand. Testing your own limits. Knowing what you were capable of so you can be better prepared was always good. How about you test something else then, she said. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he looked at her, as her lips connected with his own. As Teiwaya and Haku didn't see either of them for a couple of hours. Time skip. I already tell you it was a joke. Don't take it that seriously. A high-pitched, whiny voice said. It was a dark cave with only a lamp on the table. It was juvenile and unnecessary. Sometimes you are too much like Spiral. I think I'll take that as a compliment, a deeper voice said. After all, Spiral Senpai was a good guy like Toby. I don't understand why you encourage him with that idiotic tendency. It is beneath someone of his lineage. The childish voice simply chuckled. Oh, it's all in good fun. After all, if you were serious all the time, what would be the fun in that? The deeper voice simply turned his head in irritation. This is not about fun. If Master Sam was here, he would waste no time eliminating that personality. The high-pitched voice simply sighed, like this conversation has happened many times before. If an outsider came in and see this conversation going on, they would have seen the strangest sight in their entire life. A man, but at the same time not a man. Half black, half white, green hair, with vines like a phoenix flytrap like bones coming up and covering his head, as a deeper voice was coming from the black half and childish voice was coming from the white half. In any case, the both of them went quiet as they saw rippling over to the corner of the room, as a man stepped out into the cave, tossing a blonde down to the ground. The both of them were in the Akatsuki clothing, but the newcomer had on an orange mask with a single eye hole. Is Toby okay? The man looked up like he just noticed a plant creature over to the side. Zetsu, I needed to go keep track of the Kyuubi Jinjulke. The plant man heard the seriousness in his voice. Do not lose him this time. Zetsu quickly nodded. Of course. Right away, Toby. Zetsu wasted no time as he emerged to the floor. The masked man was left alone as he glanced towards the unconscious Deidara. As he took off his mask and placed it on the table. Seems I've underestimated the Kyuubi Jinjulke. Not to mention the company he keeps. As he glanced towards Deidara once again, he sighed, rubbing the right side of his face, as he always did that once he was in private. To think he awakened the Rinnegan, this could have not been foreseen. But maybe, I could use this to my advantage. He sat back, going over the numerous plans he had constructed in his mind up till now. None of them had planned for this though. How could he? He sighed eventually. He would have put them against one another. The victor coming out of that battle would be changing up his plan a bit, but it still did not matter. He was still in control. His plan just needed a bit more tweaking after this revelation. Yes, he nodded to himself, a slight smile flickering over his face. That was certainly the solution. But first, a test of his powers that would also be important in the long run. He reached for his mask as he clipped it on. He knew the perfect person for the job, as in that eye hole you could see a Sharingan. As he twisted and took Data with him, and he was gone, as the cave was once again silent. Time skip. Wave crashed against the boat. Many people, people that could handle it would be sick. But Naruto was standing right there, as he found it rather calming. Out here in the ocean, with the water saturating everything, his vision was the greatest. Not that he could sense anything but boats and birds. The journey took nearly about a week, and they were nearing the end of the trip. In fact, when he pushed his senses out, he could feel the shore some kilometers away. What are you thinking about? He didn't have to turn to feel Haku standing right behind him, as he could feel everyone on the ship. Everything and nothing, said Naruto. Haku walked forward. So, not complicated, he said. As Naruto grinned a bit. You're not usually this talkative, Haku, said Naruto. What changed? Haku grimaced as he looked down towards the stairwell that lead down into the ship. Teiwaya snores. As Naruto was quiet, before the both of them broke out laughing. When they came on the ship, there was only 2 free cabins. Naturally, Fu opted to share a bed with Naruto, leaving Teiwaya and Haku to take the next room. As Naruto glanced towards Haku taking his new appearance, all their previous clothes had been damaged in the fight, so they had to buy some new clothes at a new town. Not to mention they have outgrown a majority of their clothing. Haku was wearing baggy brown pants that stopped right above his ankle, with black sandals, as he had acquired some new short sleeve kimono tops. His favorite one being the blue one with the white trim going down. Under that, he had on a brown shirt, a similar color to his pants, as he had asked Naruto to make him a white mask, which he added a red design to. It now hung at his waist, moving slightly with the ocean breeze, with a red sash tied around his waist that would whip out when he ran. As Naruto was wearing a loose red robe that went down to his knees. It was open at the front as he was wearing a simple, baggy, white shirt. The necklace he got from Fu was around his neck. Like Haku, he wore baggy pants as well, and sandals. He still wears forehead protector and earring though. They were gifts to him after all. Finally, he had a obi tied around his waist. Teiwaya did everything to hide her former image to hidden sound. Now wearing a dark grey sleeveless t-shirt with a traditional mesh shirt underneath. The kimono hung low enough to be full clothing, but she wore short shorts underneath with a red obi tied around her waist. And then there was Fu. If she had her way, she would have just gone for something similar to what she was wearing in Taki. But Naruto had gotten her to try something different. A vest, as she was wearing a shirt underneath it as the vest was open up. Her skirt remained the same, as did the fishnet shorts. But her sandals now stretched straight up to her calves. He turned his head as he looked out at the sea, as he liked their new changes. He then saw something, as Haku noticed a look. What is it? He asked, as Naruto could feel the chakra signatures that looked like very large birds. It's people. It's people, but they're flying. As he wondered if he was seeing things. As Haku glanced as he strained his eyes to see, he then saw them. How? Naruto's eyes widened as he observed the flying people. No doubt shinobi, since they utilize chakra in this strange way. They look like they have massive metal wings. I think they're using chakra run over each side to provide lift. As Haku had to admit, that sounded, quite smart. Should we tell Fu? Seemed like she had some competition now. Naruto smiled as he watched the flying people bank as they glide over the water surface as they went back. Well, it's certainly not something you see every day. Time skip. Would you hurry the hell up, Kakazu? How long are you gonna take? On the coast of Hainokuni, there was a small town, as one could buy anything there for the right price. 3 men stood on a dock. One was a typical sailor, wearing brown clothing, as he smelled like sake. The other 2 looked rather dangerous, giving off dark auras. Quiet, you imbecile. If you keep on interrupting, I'll kill you, said Kakazu as he glared at Hidan. As if you could, or haven't tried before, Hidan said. I said be quiet, Hidan. Haggling is a very delicate process if we want to come out with a better deal. Not that you would know. He don't swing his side and drive it into the ground, as he was a cable attaching to the side going up into his sleeve. Whatever, why don't you just threaten the guy and take the boat that way? As he looked over the civilian sailor, he would deserve it anyway. I haven't been able to appease Justin saw him recently, and his pain would be like ecstasy. I said shut up. He done scowl, but he didn't say anything else, as he turned his gaze back out to the sea. He did not understand why they came all the way out here for a damn boat. Well, as long as there was heathens to offer up to his lord, he would be happy. But guys, we end this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of the do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. And stay in tune because I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo over on Anime King 3, guys. Yes, I have 3 channels: Anime King, This Is That, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. And over there I'm going to be posting a brand new episode of What If Naruto had a new dream that will change everything. So stay in tune for that, and I hope you guys will enjoy. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying, talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.